Hey, my name is Mike Matheny, and I am the pastor of Church of the Lakes. Some of our parents that now have their kids at home have told us a little bit about the struggles of what it is to try to now have your kids at home, and you're trying to figure out computers and IT and how much work should we do. And I didn't sign up to be a homeschool parent, but you just got voluntold that you're now a homeschool parent. So what we did yesterday is we pulled together the principal of Leesburg High School, the principal of Oak Park Middle School, and the principal of Leesburg Elementary, a few other administrators, and a couple of homeschool moms into one Zoom meeting to discuss some of the struggles that parents are having. And we actually had some parents that emailed us some questions that we asked to the principals and to even the homeschool moms about how they structure their day. So the following video is for you. We hope for it to be maybe a place where you'll hear some resources or some ideas, but for the most part, an encouragement. I know there's probably some of you that are struggling, feeling like so many questions. Are my kids going to get promoted? You know, what's happening? I don't understand. Are we going to finish? And so the following video, take some time and watch it. Hopefully it gives you, like I said, some ideas, resources, just some encouragement. But if there's any way we can serve you, or if there are questions that you have that are not answered in the following video, please send them to info@cotlakes.com, and we'll either forward them to the appropriate school or try to respond to you ourselves. So hopefully this video will be a little bit of a help for you. Well, let me ask this. I mean, we won't waste our time here. Let me ask from a standpoint, so for us trying to help people, because we're talking to people, Andy, what questions? I know you said a lot of it is IT. What are the type of questions that you're getting that you're experiencing every day for us to understand, you know, what parents are going through?
Yeah, I would say the biggest questions I'm getting is that other than needing the internet and needing computers is once they get going in the program, they'll come up on little glitches where they get stuck. They'll have issues where they don't know, the students run into a technology problem. And one thing that's kind of interesting is the district has set up a form for people to fill out, and for any type of technology issue that they're having. And they submit that form, and the district IT will actually call them up and help them troubleshoot and resolve the problem. So a lot of times I just have to refer them to that form, because it's a lot of the stuff is stuff that I can't really do at home because I need to be on the network to resolve it. So they're able to do that because they're working through the district's network.
Gotcha. Is that form is on the county website?
Yes, it is.
Can you email that to me? Will you,
Sure.
respond to and email that to me, and that way we can use that to talk. Jen, go ahead.
And I'm glad you said that, because my next question is, because I also work with the children and the parents at our church. So I would like to know what would you guys like the parents to know? If you could say, you know, hey, every parent, I want you to focus on this thing. What would be good for my parents in my ministry? What do you want them to know?
One thing that I could probably share with, because I know that it's something that I've had a couple parents frustrated with, is you've got several students sharing computers at home, and trying to get all the students to get logged in each day to get all the work done that they're supposed to each day is can be stressful. And it requires some management, of course, with the devices that they have. So maybe one thing that we could pass on is that although we are looking at attendance, they don't have to sign in every single day, as long as maybe they're splitting the days up. Mr. Randolph, I see you're disagreeing.
No. I'm agreeing.
Okay.
I'm absolutely agreeing with that. Like, we are not looking at attendance at all. You know, we want to look at progress, and we're asking our students to work in the class. Not so much looking at the grade, but if I can look, you know, there's a screen that I can pull that shows how much time they've worked in Edgenuity every single day, how much time they've been idle during their work session. If I see that they're logging time on our end, we've been very diligent talking to our teachers about building it with success in mind and empathy towards our kids in mind. And if our kids do the work, our teachers we've worked them, they'll be successful during this time, but they just have to do the work. So for me, the biggest thing that I would like to share, and I would like to pass on to the parents, it's important for our students and our parents to know their teachers' office hour time. All teachers across the district were given, contractually, they have to give 3 hours of office hours per day. That can range any time. Your teachers are on Zoom, just sitting there. Every call that I make, I ask parents and students, hey, just hop on Zoom, even if you're just saying hi to your teachers, because they're there. A lot of times, especially week one, it was just, little issues getting converted online. And it was, hey, did you check in with your teacher? Or, hey, we haven't heard from the teacher. Well, have you checked in during these 3 hours of office time? No. So they can know that. I know for us, we're creating a document, and we'll have one document online where they can see every teacher on campus and their office hours.
Ms. Jordan, go ahead.
Hey, I would say to my parents, because I have spoken with quite a few where the teachers contact them and say, your child's not getting any time in on Odysseyware. For elementary school, our platform is Odysseyware, where Edgenuity is the middle and high school. So my parents will say, hey, but my kids are on the computer. I see them working. So I can actually go in and pull, we all can, we can go in and look at our kids' history and see what websites they're on and exactly what time they log into that website and as they progress through. So what I'll see is a kid logs into Odysseyware, and then not even a minute behind it, they're logging into watching videos. And so it looks to me they're probably minimizing the Odysseyware and they're watching the videos. It might have music going in the background. So a parent's best friend is going to be if they go onto have the kid log into the Chromebook and then go up in the corner where the 3 little dots are. And if they click on that, they can click on history and they can see every single thing the kid's been on. The kids cannot erase it. It cannot be deleted because of our filtering system. So, parents will say, but I see my kid working on there, but they've logged in 0 time into Odysseyware. So we can see if they're getting on iReady or something else the teachers assign, but also the YouTube videos. There's a lot. It's one of our highest websites the kids are actually visiting, and our reports coming back is the time that they're spending on YouTube instead of, where they're spending.
Good. So checking history.
Yeah.
Ms. Longo, anything particular you would say?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of Mike and Andy, and to what Susan was saying is if they go up into the top right hand to check out that orange envelope, that's email. So when it's orange and it's up there, they have an email from a teacher or from someone. So they need to check on that to make sure, because that's how some of our teachers are communicating. I know we put that on our website with what that orange envelope means and how to get there. The other thing is to really reiterate, because I've been doing a call out. I still do the weekly call out, even though we're not in school. I still send it home to don't sweat going on there every day. Really, they don't have to get on there every day as long as they're keeping up with the lesson and the assignments. And if they can do it, I've told my teachers, look, I know if they're not on for 3 days, I said, don't worry about that. Look at your lessons, look at your assignments. If they're caught up, don't call that kid. They're good. So they don't really have to, because I know a lot of the families are struggling. And they're feeling the pressure too, because they have to go to work. So they're even stressed out because they're probably nurses or frontline people, and they're stressed out when they get home. Then, we got some teachers saying they got 6-7 hours of work, and, the parents ready to put a bullet in their head because they're like, there's no way I can do this. So, just tell them, and I tell mine all the time, just calm down, let them get done with their lessons and their assignments, and that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at every day, because as Susan said, when you go in, you look on it, and with this Go Guardian, that's another thing you can let them know that it's kind of like Big Brother, but don't say Big Brother. But if they're at inappropriate sites, it shoots us an email automatically.
Immediately.
Yes. I mean, and, I have where I've called parents and they're like, there's no way possible. I'm like, yeah, go up to that little history box and click on it and you'll see. My kid was not on the computer at 2:08. Oh, wait, maybe he was. Yes, he was.
Yeah, that's good. the history, that's a really good tip.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. Mr. Simons, anything you would add?
To be honest with you, the rest of these individuals have really elocuted what I would say. They've really expressed some of the things that I would say. I spent about 20 minutes on the phone with a parent today, and she was concerned that her son, she wasn't sure if he was doing his work. And then so I logged into Edgenuity and I looked at it with her, and she was concerned about him struggling with some of the content. And I just basically talked to her about make sure he understands that when he needs help, it's just like being in a brick and mortar school. When he needs help, he raises his hand and he calls on a teacher for help. He can do the same thing online. Except online, he does that through Google Meet or Google Chat during the office hours. So make sure that the students take some ownership in their learning and make sure that they're reaching out to their teachers during the office hours, which I know Randolph already talked about this, but making sure that they take ownership in reaching out when they need help. If they're struggling, we want them to do the work, yes, but we don't want them struggling either. If they're struggling with the content, we're here for them. But they just have to raise their hand, as it were. You do it virtually by reaching out during your office hours. It's just like raising your hand in a classroom. I would say that.
All right. Mr. Rednauer, I'm going to ask you a question I asked you previously, but I'm asking you again because I think this is going to be a good video for us to put out for some parents that it'll be informational. We'll do it that way. Talk to us a little bit about the scheduling, specific meeting hours for classes, suggestions, and I'll let each of you respond to this, suggestions of maybe how to organize the day, learning styles, et cetera, because again, we're trying to put this on for parents that basically just got voluntold that they're homeschooling. They weren't planning on this scenario, so trying to give some information. So talk a little bit, if you will, start with Mr. Rednauer about the way it's scheduled, maybe how to do that, even your own personal experience you shared about your daughters.
Yeah. The good news is that there isn't really a schedule other than they've got a certain amount of work they want to look at completing each day for their core classes. As I shared earlier, before anyone else came on, I got the parent side of it and I've got the administrator side of it. My two daughters are working on it at home, and they're actually high school students, so they each have a Chromebook to work on, plus I have my own devices. So we don't have the technology issue, but they still have different times of the day that they prefer to work. One gets up in the morning and works and gets everything done. And then the other one is just, she prefers working on it at night. So she will work on it at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And I know that's not necessarily healthy, but that's just what I get. That's how she does it. And I'm okay with it right now, as long as everything's getting done. My one daughter is doing 2 days worth of work every day. So instead of doing it every single day, she'll do 2 days worth of work on like Monday, and then she won't go again until Wednesday. And that leaves her a couple days where she goes outside and does physical activity. So yeah, not really a set schedule. There is some guidelines that the teachers have emailed out to students as far as what they're looking for them to get accomplished. So that would maybe set the pace more than anything else.
Gotcha. And that may be a little bit different depending on age. So maybe I'd ask, Susan, would you respond to that a little bit? Obviously dealing with elementary school students.
Yes, and we find that there's sometimes, like on Monday, kids will get on and, well, I'm going to complete all my reading work for the week. And maybe on Tuesday, I'll start with my math work, and they even have enrichments online. So, it's just a matter of what the students are comfortable with. But I would encourage parents, make sure you schedule in some breaks for them. At school, think about it. They get the breaks, they get recess time, they get, their lunchtime, they're switching classes here and there. So, they do need frequent breaks. But I would say whatever works best for your student. And if you have multiple devices, and if you work during the day and you've got little ones and you don't really want them on while you're not there, they can get on and work on the weekends. I mean, the teacher's not going to be available, but if it's a matter of them getting in and getting some lessons completed, weekend times are fine as well. I would say if you're a parent and you're watching your child and they're struggling and you've gotten to the point where you can't help them anymore, email the teacher and just say, hey, we worked on this particular lesson and my child really, really tried hard, struggled. I can't help them. Can you carve out some time and let me know when they can get you on Google Meets and you can talk? Because same way, they have scheduled office hours as well. And mine are even scheduling small groups where, 4 or 5 kids get on at the same time that's all struggling in the same place, and the teacher, can teach to them as well. So the schedule is very, very flexible. It's pretty much what works for the family, and then realizing that the teacher has certain hours that, and I can tell you in our school, they've all tried to keep the 9 to 12 as office hours, but then many of them are going way past that, because they have some students, they don't even get the laptop from their brother or sister till 12:30.
Right.
So they'll adjust those times as well to help with that.
Is the 9 to 12, is that kind of standard for all of you guys? I mean, Mr. Randolph, or y'all, was that similar, or?
We set that up in my school just because if a teacher needs to meet with, let's say, the ESC school specialist or the guidance counselor or something like that, by all having the same office hours, we're all available to each other for assistance during that time. Mm-hmm. But then some teachers will overlap it and they'll actually, maybe do 10 to 1 or 10 to 12, 10 to, like that. So as long as there's some time within that time frame available for office hours, it keeps us able to talk and meet with each other at the same time as well.
Perfect. Mike, go ahead. I see you shared something.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear you right now.
He muted himself.
I'm muted.
Here you go. My apologies.
Now you're on.
I was actually yelling to get my daughter's schedule that I'll share when I log off, because I'm really big on just creating a schedule. So I have a 3rd grader and she's 8 years old, and we have a 5-year-old that's in pre-K as well. So we developed a specific schedule for them at home, the same way that we developed a schedule for our students as well that you can see on our screen. This is one of our students, and we've really put this platform out there, for parents to use as a model, just trying to give them, okay, what does their day look like? Because we've heard a lot of our parents say, and a lot of our kids say, am I supposed to be working 7 hours a day? And how is that going to look? Like, I can't work 7 hours a day. So we've shown them that we're not asking you to work 7 hours a day, and we're not asking you to spend long stretches on the computer necessarily, but we are scheduling work time in for you. So, for our young man, this is a young man whose situation is he has to go to work every single night. He is the sole, we talked to mom, we had a meeting with him and mom said, my son has to go to work every single night because I got laid off of my job and he is our only source of income. So with that, he goes to work from 4 o'clock to 11 p.m. So I didn't schedule him to begin working at 7 o'clock. His work time, we have him waking up at 8:30 and beginning working at 9. Like Susan said, it's important to build in those breaks, and then just time to get away from the computer as well. So, he'll work for an hour chunk at the beginning. He'll work, at 2-hour chunks there. A 3rd hour, he'll work for 40 minutes, and then he'll take an hour break, get away from it for a little bit, come back in the afternoon, work another 2 hours. So even with that, and we told him that's a heavy schedule, and that's a 5-hour schedule. And, would we like that every single day? Realistically, yes, but we know that you can't give us that. What we've asked our young man to do is give us that 3 days a week. And then if the other 2 days, give us half of that, if you can't give us all of that. But we wanted to build him something to at least start from. So, again, something huge for us, as well as every school, are going to be knowing your teacher's office hours that are at the bottom here. So for every one of his teachers, he knows when he can contact them. You asked, are the office hours during a set time from 9 to 12? it really depends on the it really depends on the teacher. We gave our teachers complete autonomy, at least, we did at Leesburg. I said, I don't know your situation. You may, I ask that your office hours are before 9 o'clock, at night, but we have some teachers that their office hours, it works best for them 5 to 8, because that's when their spouse comes home, they can help with the kids, and then they can commit 3 hours of being in front of a screen. So, and not just being in front of a screen, of being available. So, that's okay. And that's okay. And we told our teachers that that's okay. And, the parents actually appreciate that flexibility as well. So just knowing, where those office hours are, and then again, developing a schedule. This is my own daughter's schedule, and she's in 3rd grade. So, the teachers did a good job, and Odyssey Ware has done a good job of kind of building it out for us, of making it pretty simple. I've heard of some charter schools that has not been the case, where they've been forced to go into Google Classroom every day. I mean, no ill will about that, but they've been forced to go into Google Classroom every day and submit assignments that way. That's hard. That's really hard on parents. So I appreciate the fact that the district has built to, Odyssey, where at least where you are, and Google and Edgenuity, where you are.
Hey, let me ask Misty and Jen for you guys to chime in. Misty, I'll ask you first, because you guys are homeschool moms. Talk to me a little bit about schedule for you guys. And I know the answer. It's why I'm asking, because I think you guys have 2 different styles. But Misty, talk to us a little bit.
So yeah, I'm super excited to hear what everybody is saying, because now I can look at new homeschool moms that are asking me, what do you do? What do you do? And to be able to say to them, make your own schedule, do your own thing like that, because that's what we do. And to hear y'all say that that's good and okay. So I'm super excited to be able to continue to say that to people. And I know Jen does it different than me, but yeah, we do it. We're kind of free range homeschoolers. And we sleep. I don't sleep in. The children sleep in, and we start school, and we do school until we have one too many meltdowns, and then we say we're done, and then we start the next day. And when Jen starts to talk, because I know what Jen's going to say, I'm going to run and get one of my boys' planners to kind of show. But I schedule everything for the day, each day. Right. Because looking back onto the day before, like what did we do? And then bring it to the next day, what didn't get done. And I tried just not to stress out about what didn't get done that day, because tomorrow's another day and you can move forward. So then that's our philosophy, and that's how we run our homeschool house. And so it makes me really excited that parents have that opportunity. I'm taking notes so I can make some Facebook posts to my moms out there, and that, you don't have to sign in every day. If you do 2 lessons in one day, take the next day off and stuff like that. I think that's great.
Jen, go ahead. Talk about schedule a little bit. Are you there?
She's on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we're a little more flexible in our schedule too, because all 3 of my teenage girls are essential workers. So they are now working around their work schedule, which is a lot more. They're working a lot more because everyone needs them. Well, one's working at Walmart, and they need her 6 days a week. They want her 7 days a week. But we only allow her 6 days a week to work. So, and the other 2 are caretakers. And so they are needing them a lot too. So I am very glad to hear what you guys said about you're not worried so much attendance as you are progress. And I'm going to encourage my parents, especially because we've had issues with the whole YouTube fight. So to know about, just to know the buzzwords like Odysseyware, I wasn't familiar with that. So now I'll know Odysseyware, Ingenuity. So I'll be able to speak their language when I talk to my students and when I talk to my parents, and then just encourage them to, I think it was Miss Jordan said, to double check, because they're so quick on minimizing. You walk out of the room for 2 minutes and boy, they're fast. So just to encourage them to, give them the accountability that they need. And I'm definitely going to remind my students that that their administrators get an email if inappropriate sites are visited. So we might have a little lesson about, as soon as it pops up, turn away, pop the lid close, slap the laptop close, let your parents know what you saw, and, get that taken care of. We need to, especially now with the little kids they need to know the definitions of inappropriate, shall we say.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I'm so glad my husband made me get on here.
I have to say, I really, this has worked out great to do it this way, because we will edit this and put this out there for people to see, because there's a lot of information you guys are saying that I don't think moms and dads realize, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and the resources are there. And what I'm hearing from you is contact us.
Yeah.
Touch base with your teachers, and so it's so great to hear that. And yet I know this thing came at us all so quickly and sort of happened so quickly. Still think you guys have done an amazing job of putting together communication and all that we're doing. So we really, really appreciate that. We did have a few people that sent in some questions that I'd like to ask just for you guys to respond to. One of the ones that's is a very simple question, an interesting question, maybe even a slightly political question. So I'll let you be careful with all that. But that is, what about promotion? There's people that are really fearful of what's going on. Am my kid still going to get promoted? That kind of thing. Anybody feel like tackling that question?
I'll tackle that from the high school because we have graduation. The stance that I've taken is that the fourth quarter should not make or break a student. A world pandemic should not make or break a student's final standing. So those are things that we've looked at. Those are conversations that we've had individually with our teachers. I've gone as far as to put out what I would do as if I was not an administrator, but Mike Randolph, was in my 10th grade English class. What would I do in this situation? If you did not show up for any reason whatsoever this entire 9 weeks, of course, I would reach out to you. I would do different things, but you would get a 69B. And what that would do is that would allow your grade to be dictated on your third quarter grade. From there, if you worked, I would grade you from there. But we put out those types of suggestions to our teachers to, again, grade with empathy. So, we're not, my goal is not to fail a student, and our goal is not to fail a student or prevent graduation from a student. But on the same token, students still have to do the work. So we still monitor our senior grades, for example, because that's the biggest one for promotion for us. We monitor those grades. We had a few seniors that were like, oh, I'm done. I'm not logging in and I'm not doing this fourth quarter. No, you have to do work. You can't be done, and just making sure that there's a clear understanding of what's expected of them during this time as well. So it goes back to what we said at the beginning. We're not trying to crush them with work. We're trying to build with empathy. The biggest thing that our students can do is do the work and show progression.
Is there anything that's been put out that you guys have seen from the county that, is any kind of a guideline or this might fail them or this might not? Is there a minimum number? Like I see, Ms. Jordan, you put in there some of the expectations of basics. Anything like that elementary wise that you guys have seen?
I was going to say with elementary, and this is the same for all elementary schools, the expectation is that the students are first working on Odysseyware. Odyssey-ware is the core, right? This is the content that goes along with our Florida standards. After that, for iReady, for reading and math, the expectation is just to do 3 days a week, 15 minutes each time. Now, that means maybe one day you get on and just do your 45 minutes, right? So it can be done in 3 days a week, 15-minute chunks, or you can do one day, 45 minutes. But the expectation is just get 45 minutes in the week of reading, 45 minutes in the week of math. Just organize it however you can. And then, our kids have specials. So with music, art, and PE, the expectation is just to go on and do one lesson a week. And, those aren't graded in elementary school, but it does keep them in a routine, which is have that routine in place and, to get that as well. And just exactly what, Mr. Randolph said, I mean, we're not looking to go out and fail kids. Our job is as much as possible. And I can tell you today we had Zoom meetings with teachers, and we were looking at student data. And we're looking at kids right now after the first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, and third 9 weeks, that would be in danger of failing based off of those 3 9 weeks before we ever got to the pandemic. And our conversations with the teachers were, what are we doing right now, this fourth 9 weeks, to help support them to move forward? So if you have a student who's sitting at a 59%, based off of first, second, and third 9 weeks, what are we doing right now while we have this additional contact with them on, Google Meets, and they're working in the Odyssey-ware and they're working in the iReady? How are you supporting that student to help them move forward? So that's our focus, is how are we going to move each kid forward, and what kind of support are we going to give them that they need right now so that, they'll be successful beginning next school year.
That's good. Barbara, anything you would add to that? It's probably similar, but.
Yeah, very similar to what Mike was saying and Susan, that, we're just doing exactly that. We're making sure the kids are staying up to par. They're progressing through the lessons, through the assignments, and doing what they're supposed to be doing. As far as retentions, as again, Susan said, we looked at the first, second, and third 9 weeks. And if they're failing those 3, okay, let's see what we're doing for the fourth 9 weeks. But there will be no, he's passed the first, second, and third 9 weeks, and now he's not doing anything the fourth 9 weeks, so he's going to be retained. No, there's not going to be any surprises like that, any, surprise to the parents. We're not doing that. We're looking and we're monitoring the phone calls that are going out. My guidance counselors, Andy and Maurice, myself, we're all calling these parents to get these kids moving. And I want to say that we're down to like 6 or 7 kids that have not logged in. Other than that, all 540.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we're working really hard to get them logged in. Now, they're logged in. We're not saying they're all making 8s, but they're logged in and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're making the effort. So that's really all we're looking at for that fourth 9 weeks. And, as Susan said and Mike said, we're not looking to retain anybody. We're not looking to knock anybody out. My focus is on 8th grade, obviously, because those are the ones I have to serve up to Mike. So we're really looking at 8th grade really tight to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we have everybody assigned to that grade level and where they're going. So it's not going to be any surprise to the parent that if I say, hey, Colin, what you let you know, Barbara's been retained. What do you mean? They've been passing all year long. No, they're going to know that, I made a 10 the first 9 weeks. I made a 2 the second 9 weeks. Yeah, there's been a problem that I haven't been in school. So there's not going to be any of that. So I'm not looking as the fourth 9 weeks. And I'll even go on record and saying the fourth 9 weeks is not going to hold somebody back.
Absolutely. And can I just throw this out, because I would be remiss to say this. Not every schedule is going to look the same. Going back to that schedule that we built, we have students that are accelerated within our community and the Leesburg community. What we're kind of getting is that base level. Like this is your expectation, but we have students that are striving. We have our Cambridge students that are really pushing and doing a lot more work. We have our advanced placement students that are getting prepared for AP tests. Just like, I know that Barbara's own, honors students and our pre-A students from Oak Park are preparing as well and, doing more work. So again, your schedule, we're giving you examples of schedules, but every schedule is going to look different and success is going to look different as well. So this is really a time for parents to say, okay, what do I want to expect out of my student? And let the student kind of help create that schedule as well. So you get a real sense of a student's expectations for themselves based on the schedule that they give themselves.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from you guys collectively is a flexibility, but that routine is good. So find the routine that works for your child and let that be a steady scenario for them that gives some structure, but find the routine that works, for your individual child in that scenario. That brings me to another question that we got that is, and I don't know if this is a special needs type of a scenario or not, but the question that I got was kind of interesting, and it said, we are having a lot of issues with headaches because of screen time. And so any suggestions that you guys may have with parents as far as, dealing with the computer, the screen time, or any kind of visual issues, special needs issues, anything like that?
I can tell you the whole first week, I had a headache every single day. Just us adjusting ourselves to, all the meetings online and everything else. Like our world's changed as well.
Yeah.
But every day I had a headache. I totally get that. But trying to get those frequent breaks in, to get your eyes away from the computer, is a key thing, I think. And then I think eventually you just kind of get used to it. But
yeah,
they got to take those multiple breaks. You got to get through. Sometimes I'll joke and laugh that the hardest thing for me to go into administration was the principal meetings, because you had to sit still for 8 hours, and I'm just not a sit still kind of person. And when we have to sit there for so long, I'm like, you see me now, I'm struggling. I'm like, I keep moving because I'm just not used to, I'm as bad as the kids. So just give them more breaks, frequent breaks, have them copy down if they're doing math, a bunch of problems, then move away from the computer and do it on paper. Just do different breaks. And I just tell the parents, if they're getting their distance too, if they're getting headaches and it's either they're doing too much or they're too close to that screen. Because if they're up on that screen and they're talking right from here, that you're a little bit too close. You need to back away.
Right.
I would like to say too that drinking lots of water, like having water. When my kids come to me and say I have a headache, the first thing I say is drink a glass of water, and then the next is go outside, have a seat, have a little chase lounge, a towel on the floor or the ground, and just sit outside for those breaks for 5 or 10 minutes and get outside and literally not look at anything but nature. That's a good headache fixer.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Mike.
So something that I'm struggling with as a parent with our 8-year-old is that she'll finish her work and she'll, do her work on her device, but then she immediately wants to go. It's like, I'm done. And then she wants to go and get on another device on that. Either, she's on her Chromebook and then she wants to go and get on her iPad or something and play that. So we've been intentionally trying to have Riley stay off of devices for a little while, especially when she finishes her work. So in the morning when we're doing that work, based on our schedule, when we're doing her work and she's in her break time, she's not allowed to necessarily go and grab another device. You'll see that it says go and read a real book during that time. In the afternoon, once we kind of, settle down, now she can have her device to go and play her games. But that's something, and that's been a struggle that we've found and that we're still finding, is that she finishes her work and then it's like, I close this screen to pick up this screen.
Right. Mr. Rednauer, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to give a creative idea of something that we've kind of done in our household, and a lot of times now the TVs will sync up with the computers. So for like the videos, a lot of the core classes have videos that they're watching. So my daughters will sit on the couch, which is away from the screen and kind of in a different. You're not sitting at a desk or at a table. You can relax a little bit, and they have their notebook that they're taking the notes in and then watching it on the TV. So it's just a creative idea there.
Yeah, and I think it's, somebody said it, and I think it's really, really important for us to also consider during this time period the length of time that our kids are looking at screens, period. You know, so yeah, he's having headaches because he was playing video games for 4 hours last night before he got on. So I think parents, that's another important reality, is that you've got to monitor that schedule, because their head will be fine when it's time for Call of Duty or Minecraft, but then I've got a headache when school comes. So you got to monitor that schedule pretty well. Let me say this. I'm gonna kind of start to close this up, because I think that we will do about an hour, and this will be great information for our parents. Any particular other areas that you've been getting asked specific questions in that we haven't really touched on that you guys can think of particularly?
One thing I'll say is, especially with our middle school students, is if you have students that are just stuck on a certain area, they're not passing the test, they're watching the videos, they're not having success, that's where your teacher can play a role in. So reach out to your teacher, maybe set some time up with a Google FaceTime or a Zoom, where they can help you maybe get over the hump that you're having and the struggle that you're having. So that could be an option to help them move forward if they get stuck at a certain point. Again, eliminating some of that frustration.
Good.
I agree with Andy. I actually had teachers who came up to the school and grabbed a rolling whiteboard and took it home. They've set up a little classroom. They have the student pictures behind them on the wall. So they're eager to teach. They're so excited, and Odyssey actually limits them, because Odyssey is doing the teaching for them. So, they're getting kids in and pulling them in little small groups into the Google Meets, just like we're in a format right here, and the teacher's teaching on the whiteboard right behind them. And so, definitely reach out to the teacher. They can't wait to teach. They're
absolutely
hungry.
Yep.
But while we're doing that, I think it's important for all of our students, no matter their age, to continue to have a notebook and take notes as well. Something that I've realized, and that's something that I've suggested with our students in high school, is that they said, all of a sudden I'm online and I'm working online. I said, okay, where are your notes? Do you have your notebook next to you? Well, no. Nothing changes. You still want to have your notebook so that you still can create those reference pages, so that, when you go into an actual activity, now you can go back, and just understanding how to manage that, but making sure to keep that notebook right next to you and using that as a resource. It's just like school.
That's good. Jen, let me let you talk to that, because our girls have homeschooled for a while now, but you make them do a lot with notes and objectives and all that. Would you talk about that for just a little bit?
I don't want to. I'm very old school, but yeah, they have always had to keep a notebook for exactly what Mr. Randolph said. And it's just, but I feel very old school, because, the high schoolers like to take, when they're in an actual classroom, they like to take pictures of the board and they go, what? I already took notes. And I don't agree with that at all. I say, no, you got to write it down, because, they remember more when they write it down. So, but yeah, I concur with Mr. Randolph, sorry. I would definitely encourage note-taking. In church, too. Just saying.
Anybody else? Any particular topics that we haven't covered that maybe we could encourage people with?
I would like to, hoping that some of this goes further than this small group that we have, because I got one of my boys' notebooks. So it's just a regular notebook, and I write in this every morning, and I write what I hope to get done through the day. And looking on here, I realize it's not just all about school. I write on here that they have to write the date every day, their chores, which we have our chore list. And for this particular day, he had to put away all of his laundry. So those are kind of the first things. And these parents who send their kids off to school every day, that's not something that's on their normal list of things to do.
Right.
And now 2 things are happening. Everybody's home together, which requires breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And mom or dad is doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That adds extra stress. Well, kids can do all of that stuff. So kind of add that into the schedule of what needs to get done is some extra chores during this weird time.
That's good. That's really good, Misty. That's really good. Go ahead, Ms. Jordan.
Okay, one last thing too is not forget we have every Tuesday and Thursday we have breakfast and lunch for the kids. They just come right through the car rider line between 11 and 1. And tomorrow, this is the first week we've actually gone down to 2 days a week. So when they come through tomorrow, they're going to get a couple sets of meals to last them. And then on Thursday, they'll get 3 meals to last them as well. So, you know, it's free. You know, it's all been paid for by a grant. So take advantage of it. We get about, I don't know, 205 or so students that come through every day that it's available. And they get that free breakfast and that free lunch. But we definitely have enough for more. So you take advantage of it. I mean, it's there, and that can be something else that's consistent, you know, with the kids, and it keeps them kind of focused that school's still here because, you know, we're waving at the kids, we miss them, and we put up little signs and everything. So we want them to know that we're still here and we still love them and we care and we can't wait to see them again. But if they're certainly off during the day and they can take advantage of it, please come through because we have plenty.
That's good. That's good. Well, a lot of good information today, and I really want to say thank you to each one of you. I know you guys are busy and you got plenty to do, and Miss Barbara, you did a fantastic job sitting still for this long. Thank you. But I'm just really grateful, and Jen and Misty, for you guys coming on from a homeschool perspective, and so I just want to say thanks to these guys, and we want to say to you parents, the whole reason we put this time together, and now we'll share this video, is we just want to encourage you. And man, I want to speak for just a moment as a pastor to some of our moms that deal with mom guilt and wrestle with all that. You're doing a lot better than you probably think you are. And everybody's in this and dealing with this together. And so please reach out to your teachers or reach out to your administrators. I mean, you can hear through this that it's there and available to you. And so we hope in a small way, maybe this time period has been a little bit of encouragement to you. And if our church can serve you in any way, let us know. And obviously your administrators and your staff are there and ready to serve you as well. So hope this helped you today. And thank you again to each one of you guys for being a part of this time. So really, really grateful.